Welcome back to another episode of the Rational Football League show. We have a new backdrop. We're super happy about it.
I love it.
Bees is still in the mail. It'll be here in 2 to 6 weeks. But
It's
until
have
then,
a white backdrop.
White walls. My name is Emmett Sport. I'm here with my co-host Brendyn Ford, as always.
What's up, y'all?
We are getting to the end of the season, so if you guys have been with us through this whole process this year, we really appreciate it. If you guys haven't, you can check out all our previous episodes on YouTube. We have clips on Instagram, Spotify, Twitter, all TikTok, everywhere you can get videos pretty much. But with that, we are going to dive into our News of the Week segment. Starting off with the big news that kind of just dropped today, B. So the Denver Broncos, while still having a chance at the playoffs, have benched Russell Wilson because he refused to remove his injury guarantees out of his contract.
That's wild.
I just want to get your initial thoughts on that crazy breaking news.
Yeah, actually, I know their offense struggled last game against the Patriots, and they lost against the Patriots. It's kind of was like, oh damn, that's pretty bad, loss. But overall, I felt like the offense was kind of playing at least at par throughout the season. I know they had their struggles first 4 or 5 weeks, whatever. But then they really turned the corner. They had some upset wins. They're in the middle part of the season. So I'm really, really, really shocked about that. There's yeah, dude, since you didn't restructure your contract, you're just done. You're out. And I kind of get Wilson's point because he's like, no, we agreed to this, and obviously he wants the 37 mil. That's part of his injury guarantee thing. And also too, this news makes a lot of sense now of why the dynamic between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson was so bad. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you watched the Lions game, and there was a clip going around Twitter, and I remember it happened real time too, where Sean Payton was laying into Russell Wilson, completely roasting. I'm laughing because that was his face getting red. I'm like, damn, man, Russell just standing there, hand on his head like he usually does. He's like, damn, okay, yeah. But that moment, I was like, dude, this feels personal. This doesn't feel like coaching up. This, he hates this man, right? And I think this makes a lot of sense now. I really think the Broncos staff and the front office hated Wilson. I don't know how the players feel about him, but I think the staff hated Wilson, dude. So that makes a lot of sense, and now it kind of looks like Wilson will be playing somewhere else next season, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's all going wild to me, too. You just traded for him. It's only his second year in Denver. So you just traded for him, gave up a haul for him, immediately signed him to a new deal. And I get the whole thing about the injury guarantee of $37 million. But you guys have still have a chance to make it the playoffs. I mean, kind of what you were saying about this being personal shit. This has felt like a bad pairing between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton since Sean Payton got there. Talking about, hey, you need to stop kissing babies. You need to start focusing on football more.
Yeah.
I mean, just comments like that. But you're not going to draft a quarterback this year anyway. More than likely, they're not going to be drafting one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks this year. So why not roll it back with Wilson for at least one more year? Instead of stressing about this useless $37 million, which is not like they can't afford to pay it anyway. Draft a quarterback next year. I mean, you're still gonna have a lot of great options. I mean, what's your reasonable replacement for him this year? I mean, I don't know. I don't think we have in front of us exactly where their draft position is now, but I have to imagine it's somewhere in that 12 to 17 range.
Yeah, I could pull it up too, and not like they're an awful team either. We had a segment about a month ago now on this Broncos team. Yeah. So if you guys want to watch that, watch it after this pod. But I mean, they're an average team, and they have a chance to make the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, chances are slim, right? It's not like a guarantee shoe-in, but they played themselves out of a deep hole early on this season and played better. So it is weird. There's yeah, dude, we're just done. And unless do they even have the assets to? I guess all the trade with Seattle is pretty much over in terms of the draft picks. So I guess they could trade their first this year, to trade up and trade for next year to trade up to a top 10 position to draft a quarterback, maybe. But
But at
even
that
then,
point,
like,
you're
so you
kind
give
of
up
you're
more
hoping.
assets.
Yeah, and at that point, you're hoping a Jaden Daniel falls. You're hoping, Michael Penix falls, and you're hoping one of these guys falls because there's a strong possibility that Williams, Penix, Daniels, and May all go within the first 10 picks. So, I mean,
And
again,
right now they have the 14th pick. So
yeah,
right now they have
so
the 14th pick. So they're probably trying to lose out. Probably. I mean, it's just like a loser thing, but they probably want to
yeah,
lose out. If you're a Broncos fan, you're probably saying lose out, and
yeah,
maybe you can get it in the top 10 the way the last 2 weeks of the season can shape out. Maybe get to
yeah. I mean,
10.
it's not impossible to trade from the 14th to maybe the 8th spot. Wait till draft day, do your due diligence on, quarterback 2, 3, 4, 5, and see who's still available at 8. Call Atlanta or whoever else is at 8 and see, if you can swing it, I guess. But it seems just such a weird decision to immediately make that trade, give it 1 year, then you bailed on it because I don't know. It screams poorly run to me, and that's what I don't like
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You built a place for Aaron Rodgers, then traded for Russell Wilson instead, then brought in Sean Payton, who fucking hates Russell Wilson. I mean, you're setting
He's been
yourself up to
roasting him since
fail.
like day one. Yeah. Yeah. And you can tell it's personal because, again, not like they're awful. They're a 7-8 team, right? And I don't have the last 2 games of the season pulled up in front of me, but they could potentially finish 9-8 or 8-9, which is about
Yeah.
500. Not like
Well,
they're
and
awful.
the Chargers are 9. I'm sorry, the Chargers. The Chiefs are 9-6. I mean, I saw a post today on Twitter that was discussing the likelihood of the Raiders making the playoffs. So if the Raiders have a shot at the playoffs, there's no way the Broncos don't.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to see what the Broncos traded for Sean Payton real quick.
I think it was his first from last year, right? Or no?
They're 2023 first. Okay, so last year's first and this year's second. And the Saints said, okay. I knew it was the first. I just wasn't sure if it was this year's or last year's first.
So, I mean, I'm looking at the playoff pictures right now. And to your point, I mean, they are sitting in the 12th seed in the AFC. And if they won this week, their probability of making the playoffs would shoot up to 12% from their current probability being 7%. And if they lose this week, it's less than 1%. So I think there's like, screw it. Like, there's like, we'll just throw in the towel. There is a path forward. I think they're playing the Chargers.
No, that should be not easy, but it should be a winnable game.
Yeah, it definitely should be a winnable game. Another tough game, but could be winnable.
So you could be, if you win this game, you literally could be potentially playing the Raiders to get into the playoffs. I mean,
potentially, yeah. With other stuff that happen, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the thing I kind of, maybe that's just me, I wildly disagree with it. I get the idea of, tanking for a better position, but if you have a quarterback that's starting to turn around, you're figuring the right pairing going on. I mean, why just bail on that, potentially bring in a rookie? So,
yeah.
It's a weird situation, but we won't linger on it too long, or else this will end up just being a whole segment, which maybe we'll touch on once the season's over and we get a little bit clearer picture of where people's draft status is and whatnot. But speaking of quarterbacks being benched, Jalen Hall, this was also announced today. Big day for benching quarterbacks. Jalen Hall will be replacing Nick Mullins as the Vikings starting quarterback. It's a risky move at this point in the season. There's a potential playoff berth on the line for the Vikings Sunday night. I believe they take on the Packers in Minnesota. We'll be discussing that in our games of the week later, making our picks on that. B, what is your decision on this, or what are your thoughts? Right move, bad move?
I flat out don't like this move. I know Nick Mullins had his struggles, but with TJ Hawkinson being out for the rest of the season now with a torn knee, and Jordan Addison potentially being down, so you're missing 2 out of your top 3 targets. Jay Jettis there, he's healthy, so that's good. I just think it's a lot to place on a rookie in prime time with missing weapons. Like, I would rather roll the die with Nick Mullins. He has more experience, right? And I think this would be Jalen Hall's second start this season. I think he started a game, got hurt. That's when Josh
Yeah,
Dobbs came in. They came back. So
yeah,
like you're placing a lot on this rookie. And again, like going over the probability for the Vikings here, like right now they have a 29% chance to make the playoffs. If they beat the Packers on Sunday Night Football, that increases to 50%. If they lose, that decreases to 4%. Right? So there's a lot riding on this game. It's for the Packers too. We'll get more into it later. But there's a lot riding in this game, and plays it all in Jalen Hall's hands. I get the Packers defense is probably one of the worst in like the league right now, and KOC probably has like a plan in place. But I still would rather roll like Nick Mullins out there and try to make no.
yeah. I'm going to take this moment to take a victory lap here. So after the Bengals game, I think it was last week, where Jake Browning struggled, he still threw like 360 yards and had a touchdown or two, or I think it was 2 touchdowns. He ended up throwing 3 picks. Wasn't a great night. He ended up getting fooled a lot. I made a comment of he's still one of the better backups we've seen this year. The Vikings would love to have a guy like him right now. And I had 20, give or take, Vikings fans jumping into the comment on that post. No, we wouldn't. No, fuck that. We take Mullins. Fuck that. We don't. We have quarterbacks that can throw 3 picks. Yada yada yada. Blah blah blah. Talking all this shit about Jake Browning. Then the next day, with the playoffs on the line, Nick Mullins goes in and with a chance to take the lead and put the Lions away and save the Vikings' playoff hopes, he drives down the field. He gets into the red zone. It's inside the 20. He throws a red zone interception. I could not help myself. I had to go back and let those Vikings fans know. I bet you wish you only threw 3 picks tonight. I'm going to take a picture of that.
He had to. You had to take that knife and turn it a little bit because they jinxed them their own selves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, didn't he throw? You already said it, but he threw 4 picks in that game, right?
Picks.
And they still had a chance to tie the game. And not only was that to play for a playoff berth, but there was also a possible scenario where the Vikings could have won the North if they won that game because they play the Lions again next week, right? So a lot of stuff had to happen, for that to happen. But it was more than just like a playoff berth. Like they were still in the running for the North. And then Mullins goes out there, throws four picks, and now he's benched. And you have Viking fans saying, "Yeah, we don't want Jake Browning, dude. He's through like 300-yard games for 3 straight weeks. His first game starting, he threw for over it was like 350 or something like that. Like, come on, dude. He's definitely again, the better backups.
You got to put it in context, right? This is a backup quarterback, an undrafted free agent who hasn't played started any games in his career, who's now come in and has killed it every week until this last one, where he still threw for 350 some odd, 360 some odd yards and 2 touchdowns. He threw 3 picks. He's technically still a rookie. I mean, no matter how you slice it, how he's playing is still fantastic for the situation. Am I saying he's a franchise quarterback? No, I'm not going that far. I'm not saying anything crazy like that. I'm saying he's proving he could be a good backup. Absolutely. And I'm not going to stand on my soapbox here, as someone as people who have podcasts and shit here. But I really hate that that's such a fucking trope in media, especially sports media, but all media, where you take this underdog story, this unknown guy comes in, he plays well, and you build him up. Hey, this guy's doing well. Hey, look at this guy. Maybe the Bengals got something. Maybe the Bengals got a guy. And the minute he fucks up, which is inevitable, it's football. He's gonna fuck up. He's gonna have a bad game. No one's fucking perfect. This isn't Madden. Everyone takes an opportunity to shit on him.
And it's like the pros. And he's playing the highest level of football. You can only stay on a heater for so long. Dude, I hate that stuff. There's a lot of gotcha posts out there.
Oh,
and is really destroying sports media and sports, discourse and whatnot because
no one's allowed to have a bad game anymore. The minute you have a bad game, you're a fraud and you're whatever. Like that's such. And I'm not saying that's what's common on these other sports talk shows. I didn't see any of that this week, but I will say I don't know if it's just the fact that Twitter has too many 16-year-olds on it or too many bots on it. But holy shit, dude, we need to understand we're looking for trends, not outliers. You can't take an outlier and go, oh, see, look, just like it just anyway. I'm not going to stand my soapbox anymore. I'll hop off on this, but we need to start having more patience as a society and in sports. Please let these guys have more than one game. Yep. But moving on to our next thing here, you kind of mentioned a little bit. TJ Hawkinson is on the IR. He is out with a torn ACL and MCL suffered against the Lions. That's a huge loss for the Vikings as they're making a late season playoff push. Tua was limited at practice this week with a thumb and quad injury. I don't know how those are connected, but in lieu of their game.
Such an odd combination of injuries there.
Like, what did you do to fuck up your thumb and your quad? Jesus Christ!
He'd be like, I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Yeah, so
that's funny. So hopefully he plays. I think he's expected to play this week, or at least try to, because you have to if you're the Dolphins. This is like a huge game for the number 1 seed. So
yes. Speaking of seeding, more draft seeding, Patriots running back Ramondre Stevenson. I don't know why I was struggling with that one there. Is going on IR. He is a starting running back for the Patriots. Makes him down another weapon. But while we're on the topic of the Patriots, and that's very unfortunate for Stevenson, he's having a solid year this year. Can we talk about Bailey Zappi for just a second? I mean, this dude has given him another opportunity to come in and start for Mac Jones, and he's been lights out so far. I mean, again, he's not putting up otherworldly numbers and stuff, but he's making the plays he has to win these games, and that's what you got to respect from his game right now.
I kind of have a hot take. I was actually surprised they went back to Mac Jones last season after he first got benched and Zappi came in, because the couple of games that he played, he looked all right. I think he went to Lambeau Field last year, and I think they added again. But I think he's always been solid. Again, not super flashy, but again, what's really around him at the same time? What's really on that Patriots offense, And going back to the running back spot, now it's Zeke time. And I'm actually excited to watch more of Zeke, because I've seen these clips on Twitter. The old Zeke is back. He does look a little bit more explosive again. He looks a little bit more healthy too. So I'm eager to watch more of him in the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, me too. I think it'll be interesting. But just to add one last little touch on that Bailey Zappi thing. I mean, yeah, some of the throws he's been making, at least since he's been given an opportunity to be a starter. I mean, he's been layering these throws well. He's been, his accuracy's been impeccable. He's been making the big boy throws that you like to see. So I'm glad they're letting him ride out the rest of the season. I don't know if they roll in next year with him being the starter. I don't think you go that far, but at least he should be given an opportunity to compete for the starting job throughout training camp and the preseason. But
agreed.
Last little bit of news we have here. Jalen Waddle is not expected to play this week against the Ravens. Oh my gosh, this Ravens Dolphins game is going to be a tough one for them if they pull this off.
Yeah, this is what's tough about having nice prime time heavyweight matches in the last part of the season, because both teams, almost every team now is it's banged up. I mean, it's week 17, dude. Every team has going through pains and aches and whatnot, but. From a fan, I wish that he was able to play, because that would have been an awesome game. There's a back and forth battle between the two. But yeah, man, that sucks for the Finns.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the Ravens' plan of attack is for the Dolphins' offense. I mean, they just faced a similar system with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, but now you get to go see Mike McDaniels in Miami. But at least it's at home this time versus having to go cross country trip. But that should be another hopefully good game. I think Tyreek Hill is back and healthy, correct?
Yeah, so he's back. I don't know if he's 100% healthy, but he is back. And hopefully he's closer to 100% with Waddle out. I mean, who else do they have at receiver?
Cedric Wilson, They have, oh my God, they have that white receiver number 0 who plays slot. I can't remember his name.
Braxton Berrios, he's a
Yeah,
return
it's
man
Braxton
too.
Barrios. Yeah, they
I
still. I
mean,
mean, they
maybe
still
it's a
have
game where you rely. So run game is there, which I know we're not
Mostert,
talking about the Niners
Chan.
and Ravens game, but they're able to run the ball pretty well against the Ravens on Monday night. So run it, man, run it.
Yeah, give it to Maserati Mostert.
Yeah,
Perfect. That does wrap
Maserati
up our news
Mostert.
of the week. That does wrap up our news of the week segments. Those are all the highlights or lowlights, as you want to think of you. Moving on to one of our newer segments, we are going to go and look at Under the Spotlight. This player we're going to be focusing on this in a game that we'll actually be picking later in our games of the week. We'll be picking between the Dolphins and the Ravens. So we do this every week now. We pick a guy that we feel is not getting the recognition they deserve or is kind of flying under the radar, and we try to shine a spotlight on as best we can. With that, I'm going to turn it over to B so he can give us his breakdown of Kyle Hamilton.
Yes, sir. So Kyle Hamilton, man of the week, kind of like man of like the month. I've seen a lot of attention on Twitter for him. He's been playing lights out after the Monday night game against the Niners. Obviously, he had a great game. If you watched the game, you know he had like 2 picks, was all over like the field, and yeah, I kind of wanted to just dive deeper into his like film to kind of know more about him because I didn't pay a whole lot of I don't know interest in him until Monday night, and yeah, just want to see what he's all about. So let me give you all some background here. So he's a tall guy, tall safety. Okay, 6'4", 225. I personally think he's a little bit heavier than 225. Maybe plays at 230 plus, maybe 235. He's out of Notre Dame, where he was an All-American there. And he was a 14th overall pick in the 2022 draft. And actually, I was reading his draft profile, trying to get a feel of what he's good at, what are not his strong suits, whatnot. And I read that his NFL comp was Cam Chancellor. And just to give you all a preview of what I saw during Kyle's film, I think he's actually, because of his skill set and the way the Ravens use him, I think he's like a taller Tyrann Mathieu, which I know is kind of a name from like the past. A lot of the youngins might not know a whole lot about Tyrann, but he was a legend out of LSU, and he pretty much got his name. He just played all over the field, safety, nickel, outside corner, even making plays, picks, fumbles, tackling, all that stuff. And that's all the stuff I saw in Kyle's film. And so far this season, I think Kyle is playing at an all-pro level. And I say that because he has 81 total tackles so far, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 4 picks, which is one of which was a pick 6 against the Browns, which I totally forgot about that play. It was the very first play of like the game, and it was like crazy. And of course, he had 2 picks on Monday night. Those were game changing plays too. And so far, he has 13 passes defended. So he's all over the place. Made big tackles, forced fumbles, sacks, whatnot. Okay, but let's go into his game. What is Kyle good at? Already kind of said it's ready, but because of his skill set, the Ravens are able to put him everywhere on the defense, which adds a layer of confusion and prep for the opposing offense, right? So he can play, again, in the back end as a safety, in the box, and on the outside as a slot corner or a nickel. They even sometimes put him like right on the line of scrimmage for like extra run support and just like blitz him or whatnot, which he's great at setting that like edge. One thing I noticed too, which I was actually surprised about, because usually you see taller guys or taller safeties play more in the boundary as a strong safety, but he plays in like the field. So that already tells me that he's a very good athlete. You have to be fluid to play towards the field because offenses usually operate towards the field, go more toward the open space. And he's able, even though he is tall, he is fluid. I put in my notes here that even though he's 6'4", he moves like he's 5'10". He doesn't really have stiff hips. He can move. He can backpedal well, break out of his breaks well. He's also like straight line fast, which I was actually more surprised because his 40 was like a 4.59. It was not blazing fast. It's not slow, but it's not blazing fast. But his burst going from A to B is like boom. It's there. He sees it and he goes. Let's talk about pass game here. So And in the pass game, like I said, he's very, very fluid. He's strong in man coverage and in zone coverage. And he doesn't just cover tight ends, even though he plays safety. I saw a play against the Bengals that he was covering Jamar Chase in man coverage. It was like a deeper out route. He actually ran with Chase step for step, defended the ball, whatnot. Like, I thought it would be like, at least a first down, a touchdown, whatnot. No, he can run with wide receivers, not just like wide receivers threes, but we're talking about like some of the best guys in the game right now, which is crazy. Exactly. What's also cool about his coverage is like when we played in college, our coach had a phrase called "be too cool for school," meaning be calm, don't panic if you're beat, trust your technique, get there. He does that. Like when he's in his back pedal, it's like the smoothest thing, dude. Like you can tell he has no panic. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna trust my technique. I'm gonna trust my speed, my eyes, and I'll cover this Jamar Chase man coverage, no problem, easy. When he's in playing nickel, dude, a team cannot run a bubble screen against him. Okay, they try, and he's just too physical for stock blocks. First of all, he would just come down, smack a receiver. Someone gets like smacked because like their head kind of snaps back. And so he did it to Michael Pittman Jr. when they played the Colts. I was like, damn, he smacked him. And he not only does he like shed the block, like he goes and makes like the actual play too. So like you cannot run a bubble screen on him because you will like lose yards for sure. He also is very, very smart guy. He understands route concepts and what the offense is trying to do to him. For example, when they played the Texans, the Ravens were in a base front, too high safety look. He was playing the field safety, so the free safety. And at the snap, Kyle went down to the curl flat zone, so he kind of rolled down to a cover 3, and he was playing that lower part of the coverage. He noticed it was a naked boot, so CJ Stroud, was rolling out towards him. And, obviously they have like a flood concept, so they have a shallow route, a deep crosser, and like an ultra high route, right? And he had the wherewithal to see that, naked boot action, put his foot in like the ground, snap his head, and ran back to cover like the deep crosser. And sure enough, Stroud had nowhere to go with like the ball because every route was like covered. And he took like a 3-yard gain or something like that. And again, like this is a play that won't show up in the box score, but because of Hamilton's reaction, he prevented that 20-yard play. Because he literally was like, saw it, boom, went back and covered that crosser with, I think it was the corner that was following him in like man, or I guess it was a man coverage zone, but so someone else was like covering him too, and it was an awesome play. And again, the run game sets the edge well. He puts his shoulder right into the bigger guys. Like if there's like a pulling guard or tackle or center, he boom hits him, stuffs it, and then not only does he set the edge, but he makes the play too. Sorry, kind of punched my mic.
Too excited.
Boom, boom! I'm getting like amped up here. And I mean there was a play too against like the Colts. Yeah, when he was playing that slot corner, and I was really impressed by this because I kind of played the same spot too. The Colts ran like a halfback dive in like the A gap, and I kid you not, he was the first person to see it from the slot corner. Okay, and he triggered towards the A gap, and he was the first one to make contact and make that tackle from the slot corner to the A gap. Now, granted, the Colts were in like no, it was like right at the line. I think they actually gained like 1 yard or something like that. But it was very like impressive to see because like he beat both the middle like linebackers there. It was crazy. And again, just to summarize this whole thing up, he is a game changer. That's why it might count for him as Tyrann Mathieu. He sees it. He forces fumbles. He gets picks. He changed the tide of like the game. Like I already said, the first play of the game, pick 6 against the Browns. Crazy stuff, dude. So I'll be very surprised if he doesn't win All-Pro this season. I think at some point too, he has the talent to be like a defensive player of like the year. And I'm not saying that just because like it's our segment on him, whatnot. I think he really can make those game-changing plays. I think he can be like just generation of like an Ed Reed, a Troy, a Brian Dawkins type of player, right? Dudes that you and I grew up with. I think he's that type of safety and that type of ball player. And dude, I am pumped to watch him play, man. I think he's gonna be that good. He's only in year 2. Yeah, he's gonna be good,
say,
man.
It's funny out of your list of safeties that we grew up watching, you left out an important one there. You left out Ed Reed. No safety for the Ravens.
I said Reed.
Oh, did
I
you?
did.
I thought you,
Yeah,
I thought you
he was
said
my first one.
Dawkins. I
Yeah.
thought you mentioned Palamalu.
No, yeah.
So he did. Cause I was thinking to myself, he kind of had an Ed Reed play to me a little bit during against the 49ers when that first pick. This is just my seeing of it. This could be wrong, and I'll add that disclaimer, obviously. But it looked like he baited Purdy into that throw. It looked like he had took a step or two in to imply that he was, or show that he was getting sucked into that side, helping out, supporting and coverage there, before cutting right across the middle of the field and picking that ball off that was going to Debo. So again, maybe I'm just reading too much into it. I'm giving too much credit there, but it did seem to me like he did bait Purdy into that one. But
I think he did. I think he did. I remember that play. Yeah, I watched that play in film too. I think Kittle ran like an out route and he kind of went with it, but wasn't super deep. He was like, "Yeah, I'm supposed to sit here," and I Purdy didn't even see him, and he's like, "Yep." What I laughed though about that play, going with the whole Ed Reed thing, you can tell when he caught it, he wasn't sure he wanted to run with it. He was like, I don't know if I want to take this out. Sure enough, he did, and he got tackled the 10. I'm like, dude, if you're gonna be Reed, you have to take it and go. That's 6 points, dog. You have to go. So he has to work on that part of it. But dude, the way he plays the game is tough, man. That play too, where he got pancaked, got up, and it's pretty lucky the ball got tipped up, but ended up picking it after getting pancaked. The way he just hustles and the way he just does not stop, man. That's why I see a future defensive player of the year talent caliber with him, because again, he's playing at a high level and he's so young right now. So yeah, dog. I think he's gonna be a star. Yeah, exactly.
So if you guys watch this, let us know in the comment section what you think. Give us a like and subscribe while you're down there. But what are your thoughts on Kyle Hamilton? What are your thoughts on B's breakdown? Do you agree with him? Do you think he's the next star at the safety position? Do you think he's just having a good year? Let us know what you think down there. But with that, we are going to move on to our next segment. We are going to hit on our games of the week. We do this obviously every week. I think we've been pretty successful last few weeks. B, can you tell us what our numbers were for last week?
I think you went 4-0, dude. I think you got all of them. I lost my sheet. I lost my sheet, to be honest with you. But I think you did, because I went 2 for 2.
I lost my sheet. So therefore
I lost my sheet. But I think you did.
Let's see here.
Because you had
last week,
you had the Cowboys, right?
I said Ravens. I said Dolphins.
Dolphins, yep.
They
won.
I think I picked the Bucks, and
you picked the Bucks,
and I picked the Lions.
Yeah, I think that's a 4-0. 4-0.
Where's confetti when you need it?
Sad to say. I know. I think that's our first perfect week for you. I think you're the first one to get the perfect week for us.
No, because remember to start the year, I started off 9-0. The first 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, you did, maybe.
Yeah. You see that commercial with Patrick Mahomes when he was voted most valuable bundler or something like that? Yeah, pulls the confetti out of his jacket and throws it up.
Throws it up. We need that. We're
I need that.
We need some special effects.
Right now.
That was awesome.
If you're watching this, just imagine special effects just happened. Confetti just popped out of here. A congratulations banner just fell from there. Rave music.
Yeah. And I'm sorry to give, the Duval fan base a stray here, but I'm never picking the Jags again. I'm sorry, y'all. I picked them 3 times this year, and they always just get blown out whenever I pick them. I was okay, I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
Well, what's so funny is I just had a flashback here. So remember early on what I learned from the Ravens after I picked against them twice. Never pick against the Ravens. I picked for them the last 2-3 times, got them right every time. And then you asked me, you're like, well, what are you going to do when the Ravens play the 49ers? And who are you going to pick? And I told you back then, I was like, I'm picking the Ravens. I'm not going to.
Sure enough, you did.
Sure shit I did. Sure shit happened.
I had a
mad.
feeling that was gonna be a trap game for the Niners because like they get too amped up the whole week. Like they're 6 point
Uh,
favorites, all this
we,
stuff, dog. And yeah,
we won't
yeah.
go into too many details, but I do have a theory on what happened in that game, and unfortunately, it's gonna sound a little bit like coping, but we'll talk about it
It's
off
okay.
screen, and I'll
This
give
is
you
this is
evidence
a
to
place
back
for
up
us
why.
to cope. Yeah, that's. Oh,
Well,
I'm excited to hear your like thoughts.
I want to pick our games of the week first here. So we got some other
Yes,
exciting
sir.
ones. We only pick close banger games. We don't pick blowout games. This week we're going to be looking at the Lions Cowboys. We're going to be picking between the Dolphins Ravens, Saints Buccaneers, and the Packers and Vikings. So all good games with playoff implications on the line here. Getting off to this has to be the game of the week. I think it's two really good teams in the NFC competing for divisional seeding. We have the Detroit Lions, who have now locked up their first NFC North championship ever and the first
Crazy.
divisional title win since like 1993, uh,
Right.
versus the Dallas Cowboys. So the game will be in Dallas. The spread is actually shifted towards the Cowboys. They are 5.5 point favorites. The Cowboys are ESPN predictors giving the Cowboys a 70% chance of winning. The weather is kind of irrelevant because it's going to be in a dome in Arlington. But B, let me know your thoughts. Who are you taking in this one?
Yeah, so first, shout out to the Lions fans. Y'all been starving for an NFC North win. You guys got it. But I don't think you guys are gonna follow up a win with that. I don't. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys here. I know they're coming off a tough loss to the Finns, but they're just a completely different team at home. Like I don't know what happens
Mm-hmm.
on like the road. Like I don't know if there's like it's a road game this week. Let's kind of like chill out. It's whatever. Save up our efforts for like next week and like the when we're home again. But I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I do have a weird feeling for this game. I know we were talking about the Ravens and Niners and how like the Niners were such heavy favorites against the Ravens, even though they kind of looked even. I know on the DVOA rankings, like Cowboys and Lions are right there. Like, is that really almost a 6 point difference? They're really right there. But I think the Lions defense is the X factor in this game. I just don't think they're that tough in their matchup against the Cowboys offense. So I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
I as well will go with the Cowboys, strictly for the reason you said. They're a different breed at home. I mean, all of their blowout wins have been at home. They've been, I think, what do they have? They have to average like 35 points a game at home, and their defense is
Something
probably
like
given
that.
my guess would be 10. I
Yeah.
mean, if you go to like fantasy perspective, if you look at their points, I mean, they are just lethal at home. They're getting you 20 points as a defense at home. So it's hard to argue against it. The Lions will be coming off an emotional high of winning the division last week against the Lions, against the Vikings. I'm not really sure how much the Lions actually have to gain by winning this game, to be honest with you. I mean, it's great for the standings and stuff like that, and you have a chance to move it to the 2 seed. Uh, but I mean, outside of that, I wouldn't be surprised if they start kind of maybe resting some guys just to keep them healthy for the playoffs. But yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely see the Dallas winning this one handedly at home.
Yeah. To your point, I think it's just four seedings because they're the third seed right now. And the
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys are like, I guess, fifth because they're the wild card spot, I
Wild
guess.
card. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
this game just kind
the
of means
Cowboys
more
have
to
had
the
more to
Cowboys.
gain in this game than the Lions do, try and still get the
Yeah.
East title. So yeah.
And like you said, they're coming off an embarrassing loss. Not embarrassing loss, but they're coming off a big loss to the Dolphins. They proud franchises usually bounce back the next week. I expect them to bounce back this week, especially at home. So I'd expect a commanding win from the Cowboys versus the Lions. Moving on to our next game, we have another great matchup between two of the top AFC's seeded teams. We have the Dolphins versus the Ravens. The Dolphins are currently leading the AFC East, right? I remember
Yeah,
that correct?
so they are. Yep, they are.
Okay.
And right now it
Ravens
looks like the Ravens are the top seed. The
number
Dolphins are
one. Mm-hmm.
second. So Ravens sitting at 12-3, Dolphins
Mm-hmm.
sitting at 11-4. So this is a
So this may be
huge
another exciting
game.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
so this has, I mean, a lot of obviously playoff implications, but as well as seeding. It will help the Dolphins a long way in the tiebreaker if they win this game. The game will be at home for Baltimore. Be in Baltimore, home game for the Ravens. The spread is Ravens by 3 points. That is interesting.
Yeah.
The
Agreed.
ESPN predict the weather will be 45 degrees and cloudy. B, I'll let you go first again. Who are you taking in this one?
Yeah, it seems like they're getting, shifted by like Vegas, like only 3-point favorites at home against a banged up
Yeah,
Dolphins. We already talked about Tua's banged up, Waddle's out, Hill is not at 100% right now. I know the Ravens are coming off a very, I don't know, a very emotional win is the right way to say it, but a tough win from Monday Night Football, and obviously they're a day off rest. I think Dolphins played a Sunday, did they? Or was it I don't remember. But anyways, I'm gonna follow your strategy on this one. I'm gonna take the Ravens. Because why not? They find a way to win, and I learned my lesson on picking against them. And also, the Dolphins are banged up, and Ravens are tough at home too. So, for those reasons, I'm gonna go with the Ravens.
oh boy. Um,
There's no way you're gonna switch up strategy. There's no way. Come on, come on,
so
come on.
here's the only reason I hesitate. The only reason I hesitate is because whenever a team gets crowned the best defense, they're the team to beat. They
That's true.
always shit the bed the next week. So now we got
You
to give
know,
and take here. What's
we have a curse on this show. Like that's what happens. Like we say, oh yeah, this team's the best, whatever, and then that following this current week, they just I don't know what happens to them.
yeah?
They just lose in a really bad
That's called
fashion.
that's called parity in the NFL. So do I? Yeah, I think I'll kick myself more for the Ravens win versus the Dolphins.
You're
Yeah,
like
you know what?
which
I'm gonna
you're
go with
like
the.
which one you're like which one will I be more happy with if I get it wrong? Like
Wow. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Ravens just because I'm looking at the weather and I think they'll play a huge role in it. It's gonna be a little chilly, a little cloudy. It makes it a little bit harder for the passing game. Um, but god damn it, the Dolphins have a great run game too. Yep. Fuck me, I'm gonna go Dolphins. I'm gonna switch up
oh
the
god,
strategy. I'm going
he does the
Dolphins.
switch. He does the switch. Let's
It's
see it.
time to get out. Time to get out while you're ahead. I'm gonna pull my stock right now, cash in out. Give me the Dolphins.
I,
Dolphins
I
going to
would I
Baltimore,
would
pull off the upset.
I forgot about this note too. I was watching. I forget if it was ESPN or NFL Network, but the Dolphins are playing a lot more than it's a top seed right now because the Bills are on their back heels. So there's a
Mhm.
scenario where the Dolphins could actually lose the AFC East to the Bills if they lose out and the Bills win out because I think they end up playing each other. I
Yeah,
think next week. So
I think
they're
so.
playing for a lot more than it's a top seed. They're playing at least for the AFC East title too.
Yeah. And I did see another segment that since Jalen Ramsey has come back, I think it was week 8, the Dolphins have been pretty much the number one statistical defense in a lot of different passing categories
I
since
can
then.
believe that. Mm-hmm.
So
It's crazy.
yeah,
See what happens. It's
and,
gonna be a good one. Gonna be a good
and it
one.
does. And you know what? I'm going to add to this a little bit. My logic. I'm going to give a little more sound logic too. The 49ers marched down the field. They outgained the Ravens in yardage. The
Oh, for
biggest
sure.
killer for the 49ers was points. I'm sorry, no shit points. Yeah, they lost because they didn't score more points. Fucking shitty. I'm sorry, it
You
was the
meant picks?
turnovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the picks, the turnovers. So if the Dolphins keep it clean in the turnover section and play the same style that the 49ers did, which the same offense, it's not unreasonable to believe that the Dolphins could pull off an upset in that manner. Now again, if they're crushing the shit out of Tua, making him make mistakes, he's throwing the ball over every other play. No one's going to recover from 5 turnovers, as we've seen. But
Right.
I don't know. I don't think I'd sleep on the Dolphins in this one.
I like it. You're going against the brand. I like it.
Yeah, going against the grain here. Moving on to our battle in the NFC South, we have the Saints versus the Buccaneers. Another divisional game. I think the Saints are still in the running for the NFC South, right?
Yeah, yes, I believe so. Give me 1 second here. So yeah, the Bucks are 4th seed right now, so that'd be yeah. And then the Saints are actually 3rd in NFC right now. They have the same record as the Falcons though, so they're both 7-8. The Saints and Falcons are both 7-8. Falcons hold as the tiebreaker over them. But yeah, the Saints are still playing for their playoff life. If they win this week, their playoff probability goes up from 13 to 29%. And if they lose, it's less than 1. So it's pretty much do or die for them. Yeah.
Win or go home here. So it will be in Tampa Bay. The Bucks are favored by only 3 points again. The ESPN predictor is actually going with the Saints with a 52% chance of victory. The weather's going to be 64 and sunny in Tampa because, of course, who doesn't love Florida this time of year? B, who are you taking?
So I'm actually surprised that ESPN's giving the Saints 52%. Would it be because of their defense, maybe? Because I don't really fear the Saints' offense. I don't know. I just don't fear the Saints' offense that much. I don't know.
Do the Bucks have injuries on defense?
Not that I can remember. And Marshawn Lattimore might be out this week. I saw on Twitter. I think he's a little bit banged up. I don't know, but regardless, I'm gonna go with a hot hand here. I'll go with the Bucks and watch them kind of just fall apart this week because I picked them. They had 2 strong showings in back-to-back weeks. They beat the Packers at Lambeau, and I think it was a double-digit win. If I'm not wrong, I think it was 14 points or 10 points, something like that. And then absolutely embarrassed the Jags. It was awful last week. So I'm going with the Bucks. Hopefully, Iron strikes hot 3 times in a row, and they get a tough win over the Saints.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that as well. I'm gonna take the Bucks. I'm a big believer in the underdog story. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I like Baker Mayfield. I just like how dangerous he can be. It's like how not cocky, but confident he is in himself. He's a gunslinger in the oldest sense of the word. He's going to go out there and sling it as many times as they let him. He's going to rip it the same confidence every time. He believes in himself. So, I mean, this Bucks team is kind of flying under the radar, but they're a fun team to watch. Plus, we have our former teammate Luke Gerdacki playing for them at right guard. So it's kind of hard to pick against Luke. So, yeah, I'll take the Bucks in this one as well. Give them a little bit more of a cushion in the NFC South lead. Speaking of NFC North, as I've just fumbled those words, we're moving on to the Packers versus Vikings, Jets versus Skull, the Purple People Eaters. This is a huge one for the division. The Vikings need this to keep their playoff hopes alive. The Packers would love to win this one and extend their lead for the wild card right now. We already talked about earlier. Jalen Hall will be starting for the Vikings this week with Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs both being benched. Jordan Addison's out. TJ Hawkinson's out. Am I missing with the Vikings? That's out. I think that's everybody.
Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. That's pretty much it.
And then for the Packers, not a big injury, but Jair Alexander is suspended for this game.
It's crazy. It was the craziest story too. It's nuts.
So for those that don't know what we're talking about, real quick, the Packers have, as themselves, suspended him, not the NFL, just the Packers, for last week's game against Carolina. When the team captains went out to do the coin flip, he went out with the captains, even though he was not appointed a captain.
He was not a captain.
Because it was a homecoming game for him because he's from South Carolina. So...
And he almost botched it. And he almost botched it. At the flip, he said, I want to go on defense. And the ref was like, do you mean you want to defer? Because if you just say, I want to go on defense, you go on defense, and then you also lose the right to get the ball at halftime. You go back on defense. So he was like, I want to, sure. Whatever, defense.
Fucking dumbass.
It's so funny, dog. It's so funny. But yeah, man,
So
this is huge. It's a huge game, dog. Vikings in at 8 seed, Packers in at 9, and if with a win, each team's playoff hopes go up to at least 50%. And if they
so right now
lose,
the Packers don't have the wild card. The Vikings
no,
do.
yeah,
Is that
no,
just
yeah, they're at 9. Um, yeah, so it's the Rams and Seahawks holding the 6 and 7 spot right now. So
great?
I mean, yeah, so this is a huge game, right? And then if they lose, the season's pretty much over. Each team has like a 1% chance to make it the playoffs if they lose this week. So it's a huge game for both teams. And I actually woke up this morning and I was like ready to take the Vikings. And I saw the news of the quarterback change. And I was like, I don't know, man. That's rookie quarterback in a must win game without two of their top weapons. I mean, come on, man.
Well,
Come on.
I will
I
give
know
you
the
this.
Yeah, go
There's
ahead.
two ways to think about this. Real quick, let me get through this breakdown here. So the Vikings will be the home team. So it's in Minnesota. Vikings are actually favored by 2. ESPN's giving the Packers a 53% chance of winning, and it's going to be in a dome, so that's not a factor. But I do want to give you this as well. Is it the kind of confidence that the Packers are suspending Jair Alexander for this game? Because they could have just fined him, but they suspended him. Or does it play to the Vikings' advantage because now you don't have their best corner to now cover their last remaining weapon in Justin Jefferson? So
I
now
think
Justin
it's
Jefferson is going to go against their number 2 corner the whole game.
yeah, it's definitely more of an advantage for the Vikings. Like if Matt LaFleur suspended Jair, thinking, "Oh, our defense would be just fine." That dude is delusional as hell. That defense probably the worst defense in like the league. Like Joe Barry is the most hated man in the Dairyland right now.
That
Like
is
there's
true.
no way you think
That is
suspending
true.
your best player would be any sort of like beneficial for your team. There's no way. I think Matt's a good coach. He's like, know what, this team is more than just like a player. This guy went out the coin toss and he almost botched it. Whatever. Like, I don't know, but I don't know, man. With a rookie quarterback, I don't know. A must win game. I know the Vikings beat the Packers by 14, I think, off the top of my head when they played in October.
Mhm.
But I don't know, man. I'm gonna listen to my gut here, and I would take, I guess, the upset in regards to like the spread, and I'll take the Packers in this one. I just don't. It's hard for me to trust Jalen Hall. I'm not hating on him, but a rookie making his second start without two of his top weapons. I know he's playing the Packers defense, so KOC probably has a nice game plan in place for them, which I'm not shocked about. But it's tough for me, man. So I'll take the Packers.
I agree. I'm going to take the Packers in this one too. Pretty straightforward. I think they're the better team. The Vikings are down with a lot of injuries. I will say the Vikings defense has been playing way better than I thought we were going to be going into the season. So that is definitely the X factor in this one for me. But I still think the Packers find a way to pull this one out and lock up a chance to make the playoffs. So let's see. We both picked the Cowboys. You've got the Ravens. I've got the Dolphins. We both picked the Bucks, and we both picked the Packers. So the only split decision we have here is the Dolphins and Ravens game.
We're looking at 3-1 and 4
Interesting.
0, or 0 and 4, 1 and 3. Here we
Uh-huh.
go. Here we
All
go.
right, guys. So if you're still listening to this, head down to the comment section. Let us know what you think. Give us a like, subscribe. Tell us who you would take in between these 4 games. Are you taking the Lions and Cowboys? Are you taking the Ravens, Dolphins? Are you taking the Packers, Vikings? Or are you taking the Bucks or the Saints? Let us know. All right. With that, we are going to turn it over to our segments of the week. For those that are just joining us, because I want to skip all this and get straight to the Caleb Williams shot profile. Hi, welcome back. You missed a fun breakdown on, oh my gosh, Kyle Hamilton that we did. I recommend you go back and check that out. Fantastic. He's a future All-Pro at the position. He might make an All-Pro this year. With that,
Hell
let's
yeah.
not delay this anymore. We are going to get right to Caleb Williams, Mr. Golden Boy, Mr. Franchise, Mr. You gotta have him. So the games, this one actually can happen a little bit differently for me. So I'm breaking this film down. So he's 6'1", 215. Games I was supposed to watch was Notre Dame, Washington, and Colorado. And what happened with this, and I kind of broke a rule that I don't usually, I don't break. I usually watch all the games. that I set out to watch. But about 3/4 of the way into Notre Dame, which was supposed to be his worst game of the year, 3 picks, lowest passer rating of 100. I mean, the guy's so fucking good. Even in his worst goddamn game, I'm like, I don't even want to see his best. If I see his best, my take is going to become irrational. Let me just stick with what his worst look like. He's so talented, dude. So I only watched the one game because I was afraid if I watched the other ones, I was going to go head over heels on him, and I didn't want to form an unrealistic opinion. But the pros of him, he is a gifted thrower. He can make every throw from every arm angle imaginable. He's a sneaky good athlete. I wouldn't say he's like fat. He's not like super fast. He's got good speed, but he's got a really, really good short area burst. He's got like elite short area burst. He makes great reads. He gets the ball on time where it's supposed to go. And actually, more often than not, it seemed like he was throwing with fantastic anticipation, which is really good to see. But it's very rare you see a guy that's got that level of arm talent, but he's also got it upstairs mentally as well, and he's quick. I would not go as far to say generational, because that is such a lofty tag that gets attributed to too many people for no reason. I don't want to say, because if he goes and plays for Bill Belichick and the Patriots, I don't think he's going to look that great. He still will look good. I just don't think he'll look that great. He's not, but no one's bust proof. Yeah, I mean, there were so many times where even like he was identifying man coverage early, either giving his guy a shot with no safety over top, or it was a matter of there was a mesh concept on and he was able to buy enough time to hit the open guy in the mesh. The cons, I hate to say cons, they're more like nitpicky. He sometimes will rush a throw. So, and a couple of times, I believe versus Notre Dame, I believe on one of his interceptions, it was a matter of he was just kind of going through too quick. He was trying to like force it when it should have just been a throwaway. He's a gamer. He doesn't always seem like he wants to throw the ball away. I think even in that game, I only noticed once or twice where he really said, "All right, plays dead. Let me just throw it out of bounds." He usually will try to run around and make it kind of happen. So that's maybe something he can improve on. Is just knowing when the play is dead and just not taking the sack just to take the sack. But like even in that game, the first pick, I mean, he had the right tackle got beat instantly. It was a play action. He was trying to get to his tight end on a crosser over the middle. Defense has right in his face. He's kind of running backwards and just throws it up, overshoots it right into the safety's arms.
Oh yeah.
The second pick was tipped. Kind of hard to blame for that. And then the third one, he was flushed out to his left, set up, tried to rethrowing it. Again, guy bearing down on him and just missed it, just overshot it again, and fell right into the DB's hands. So that's kind of the only things I would say correct is, if it's not there, throw it away. It's okay. Live to see another play. Don't force it if you don't have to. I know you have an amazing arm and you can throw it from every angle. You can lay the ball well, but if it's not there, just let it go. He can be overwhelmed with pressure, but again, which quarterback can't? Here's a minute nugget of a detail. He kind of pats the ball before he throws it. Now, we have a video way early on in our recording career here where we discussed patting the ball and affecting someone's accuracy. Fantastic thrower. He's got great touch. Again, he throws anticipation. 90% of his passes I saw were in great places to set his receivers up for yak. So they were leading the receiver. I can't say enough good things about the guy. The style comp I wanted to get to is, I know we've kind of heard, you've probably heard his comparison to, he's Patrick Mahomes. I think you saw one that compared him to, Kyler Murray. I want to take it a little different direction because I think he's a much better thrower, a gifted thrower than Kyler Murray is or Patrick Mahomes. To me, he seems more like an Aaron Rodgers. Like the ball just naturally comes out of his hands so clean, tight spiral, perfect. It's effortless. It's kind of like what you've seen from Aaron Rodgers where he's fading left and jumps and throws it across his body. It just comes out with a perfect spot. And you're like, how the fuck is he even do? It's similar like that with Caleb. It just, no matter what angle he's throwing it from, it's just it just seems so natural for him. Caleb, I would definitely say, is quicker than a young Aaron Rodgers were. But if you go back and watch old Aaron Rodgers highlights of him running, it's a very similar style. Sliding between little holes in the pocket. He's got a great pocket presence, just like Aaron Rodgers does and did. So I feel like that for me would be the most interesting comp for him. They're almost, again, their ability to throw the ball is nearly identical. There's no one in NFL history that throws it like they do. It comes out so fluid. Draft grade, easy top 5. He should be the number 1 overall pick. He's worthy of a number 1 overall pick. He's got the least chance to be a bust. Of all the quarterbacks we've watched so far, he had the most special plays, most consistently throws where you're like, there's one of one that can make that. So that's my draft profile breakdown. B, what are your thoughts on it?
No, I love everything you said, and I saw like the same stuff. I mean, being a meatball football fan that I am, I was watching his highlights and film for the past couple months, actually, and you already hit on it, but his arm strength just jumps off like the screen. Like, I can't remember exactly the game. I think it was against UCLA. He threw like a pass with like 51 air yards off his like one leg, like right leg on the ground only. Boom, gone. Right. He had another deep bomb. It was like 60 yards and looked just easy. And it kind of brings me to your NFL comp, because actually I haven't heard that comp yet. But the more I think of it, it makes a lot of sense. I think that's actually my favorite comp regarding his play style, because I just have visions now of like Aaron Rodgers running around, the pocket, looking eyes downfield, I'm rolling out the pocket and just slinging it 40 yards like it's nothing right down like the sideline. And I've seen that exact same play at least like more than once, probably like 2 handfuls of times from Caleb. Like that's what he is known the most for, and why he got that Patrick Mahomes tagline. Just running around and just flinging it, right? So I can see that in the way he scrambles and get out of the pocket when he runs. That does look like a young Aaron Rodgers.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of that being a Bears fan.
I've seen it for almost my whole life, I think so. He was starting quarterback for Packers for 16, 17 years. So
yeah,
I've seen it a lot. There. And I really like that comp. This is not me talking. This is more, again, people I see on like Twitter and like Reddit regarding Caleb. A lot of people think that he's shorter than 6'1". He might be closer to like 5'11", 6 feet. So I kind of get your thoughts on it. If he goes to the NFL, combine, his height's shorter than 6'1", does that change your thought? Like, if you were a GM, would that change your opinion on him any? If he's shorter than 6'1"?
I would give a fuck if he came in at 5'10".
I feel the same way.
The shit the guy does is there's no one else currently able to do. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, maybe. I would argue Caleb Williams in this draft is the best at throwing on the run. Like, there's no other quarterback in this draft that throws on the run as accurately, maintain the velocity as he does. I would say in the NFL, for his skill set, not his immediate hopping in right now, but as his skill set, there's like he's top 3 to top 4 in his skill set and potential. So I don't give a shit how tall he could be. 5'8". 5'8", I would start to question it, but if he comes in at 6 foot, I don't give a fuck, dude. I will add this one little nugget to this too. And this isn't a con. This isn't like a bad thing. Like, hey, I would love to see when he gets to the NFL to develop this ability. I would love to see him rely less on his athletic ability. Not that he shouldn't still use it when he needs to. Absolutely. That's a great skill to have, and he should take advantage of it as often as he needs to. But there was a few times that we saw, at least I saw, where he started trying to scramble and rely on it when he didn't need to. I remember I sent you the video last night with the first play of the game against Notre Dame, where it kind of just baffled me. he gave a check at the line. So there's a play called, hurry up offense, get down, whatever. Stops the offense, walks up to the line, changes the check, looks up to the top, to the wide side of the field, and gives like a flamingo crane kind of signal, changing the play. I don't know if he changed it both sides or just the one side, but he looked directly to the right side, which indicated to me as, a viewer, whatever, that he saw something he liked to that right side that he wanted to take advantage of, exploit. The corner was playing man coverage, was about 7-8 yards off at the snap. Both outside receivers ran 5-yard hitches. He immediately, upon the snap, looked down to the boundary side of the field. Didn't like it because obviously the corner was sitting on that route pre-snap. He was only playing 4 yards off in press coverage. Tried to then get back to the wide side of the field, but at that point, pressure was in his face and he was then having to scramble for his life. His route, there's nothing you can do to stop that. Why would you not immediately look that way? And to add to that, I did send you a picture in our pre-show notes where they were at the goal line versus Notre Dame. Again, he snaps the ball. He looks to his right, trying to see what's available. I heard Jason Garrett on the broadcast mention, he was trying to see who can win on the outside. If it wasn't there, he was going to use his athletic ability. But if you look to the slot, the tight end, the safety and linebacker are sitting at the goal line. I don't know if they're in like a cover 7 kind of setup or where there's just goal line depth. Hey, nothing behind you. But the tight end goes right between them. And none of them drop with him. And Caleb is looking direct. I mean, in the screenshot I sent, he's staring directly at 87, right at the tight end. But instead of pulling the trigger,
show it up here.
I don't know if y'all can see that. So yeah, if you can kind of see it, he's staring
to rundown.
Yes, he's right then. He's in a position to throw. He's staring down at the tight end. That's the kind of throw you want to just throw it right at the back white line and let him go get it. Put a little loft on it, a little bit of touch, let him run underneath it, get the 2 feet in the back of the end zone, touchdown. Now, again, on this play, he did, took 3 steps back, split defenders that were crashing in on him, ran to his left, looked like he was going to run, threaten the line of scrimmage, ended up finding Brendyn Rice on a crazy athletic throw, for a touchdown. But it's like, it doesn't need to be that hard. If you don't rely on your athleticism, you quickly go through your progressions and see that, you can loft it and let your guy go get it. And that's kind of what I want to see him do. Don't go to, it's not there, let me just rely on my athleticism to make something happen. Play within the system, do what you got to do. You're going to take less hits. It's going to be much easier for you. Make the mundane look special, or make the special look mundane. It would be a better way to say it.
Yeah.
So that's my little nugget on him that I would love to see him develop and improve at the next level. But it's not a comment.
I like the +1 that comment too. Yeah, I want to +1 that too, because I noticed that as well. Like, just like small stuff, like there'll be like a smash concept, and like you can tell like he's reading the corner, and the corner's bailing to like a cover 3, covering that like corner route, and the hitch will be open, right? And he just won't throw it. He's like, he looks at it, he's like, no. And I think we saw something early on in season 2, which I forgot who they were playing, but this clip kind of made a circuit around sports Twitter where the number 1 left side ran like a clear route or like a fade, and the number 2 ran like a 10-yard out. And you can tell like he looked at it and he's like, no. And then he did his scramble thing and found Brendyn Rice in like the end zone. It was a score. I don't know if you remember that play. This was like a while ago.
I do.
But those are the type of things where like I think that he has to get taught like, hey, to play within rhythm and structure, because like that's not a guarantee. I mean, we see people do it. Like Aaron Rodgers made a living off extending plays, and Mahomes does too and whatnot. But like to your point, you don't want to make it a routine thing. You don't need to like kind of lean on that crutch. Like, oh, I can just run around the backfield, find someone open like the end zone. You don't need to play hero ball. Yeah. I think sometimes just play within structure, take the read, which he does. I think sometimes he chooses like, nah, I'm not gonna take that 5-yard hitch because I can hit this 40-yard play here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So again, it's not an awful thing. I think he can be taught that, and he shows it at times, but sometimes he just doesn't like want to take the easy throw.
And last thing I'll say before I turn over to our viewers to give us a comment, everything else, I think we move on. But it's exactly what you said. Mahomes, Rodgers do it. Mahomes used to do it so much But now defenses have figured out his tendencies of, he normally rolls this way, he tries to flip it back this way, and now defenders know what to do. They either rush him in a certain manner. They know, hey, if you're on the right side, force him back to the center. To the center, he doesn't want to go there. Left end, if you see him rushing, be patient. He's going to come. Like they have those kind of conversations at defensive meetings to make those adjustments. That's why you don't see Mahomes doing it as often, isn't as successful as often. You see Rodgers has kind of gotten away from it instead, because the more you do it, the more they cut your tendencies and the less successful you become. And it just looks like a dumb play where you had a 20-yard sack instead of just throwing the ball away or something like that. So again, he can still do it. Like, he's got a unique ability for it. I just think if you overuse it, it becomes less successful. Yeah, but you guys in the comment section, you guys viewing this, go to the comment section, let us know what you think. Do you agree with our breakdown of Caleb Williams? Is he a generational talent or is he not? Give us a like, give us a subscribe. We do this every week. We've already released a few other draft profile videos on Caleb now, Drake May, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, Xavier Legette. Let us know what you think. If this is where we're losing you guys, until next time, it's been the RFL show. My name's Emmett. This is my co-host B. Have a good night, guys. For those of us who are sticking around with us for our next and last segment, sorry, I'm out of breath here. Talking so fast.
Lots of talking.
Lots of talking. Jesus Christ. You think I'd be used to it by now. We'll move on to our last segment. This one being primarily focused on the Kansas City Chiefs. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, their offense hasn't been what we've kind of become accustomed to. They've seemingly had a drop-off in their offensive production. So we wanted to take a look at this week and see what we kind of figure out, kind of find out why is it because of Eric Bieniemy? Is it the loss of Tyreek Hill? Is it aging? So is it Taylor Swift? Who knows? But that, I'm going to let B take over. He's going to be leading us on this segment. B, break it down for us.
Yeah, Chiefs fans, what's going on, y'all? I know you guys coming off a tough loss against the Raiders. I know it's tough pill to swallow, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead. We're going to dive into the numbers here. So I have some production per game numbers, and the headline here is the Chiefs' offense production per game has declined year over year, which part was sparked this conversation because they largely have the same offensive roster from last year minus Juju Smith-Schuster, and they won it all without Tyreek Hill, right? So I'm kind of thinking to myself, okay, what's going on here? But let's go over the what, which is the numbers. So on the surface, again, the production per game has declined year over year. Points per game scored in this season, 2023 season, is 22, which is tied for 12th best in the league right now. I know we have two more games to go.
Jesus.
Tied for 12th best right now. Last season, and to just compare and give you all context, the Chiefs scored 29 points per game, which was heads and shoulders was the best in the league last year.
Touchdown
so
less than
they're losing a touchdown per game. Yeah,
Jesus.
Exactly. So it's a pretty big jump. Still so good. They're still close to top 10, but I know it's not that elite offense. What we are accustomed to seeing, and looking at it a little bit deeper for total yards per game. They have the 9th most total yards per game, which is 355. Last season, they had 413 total yards per game, so losing about 60 yards there. In the passing game, they throw for an average of 253 yards, which is 4th best. So still top 5, decent. But check this out. Last season, they averaged 309 passing yards per game. So again, losing around 60 yards per game, which is crazy. In the rushing game, again, they never really had the strongest rushing game. This season, they run for an average of 102 yards per game, which is the 20th most rushing yards per game. Last season, I think I had a typo here. I have 166 in my notes. I think it's 116. So not far off. But again, they never really had a strong rushing game. It's not what their offense really was known for. So that's kind of whatever. Okay, so let's go into the how or the why. What's leading to the lack of production from this offense? Why does it seem like it's staling? what's going on here. So as I was digging to the numbers here, and I noticed that the red zone production was probably the biggest, I don't know, thumb sore or sore thumb that I've seen in the numbers this season. So again, the numbers here, the Chiefs have scored a touchdown 56 of their red zone trips this season. Last season, the Chiefs converted on 69 percent of their red zone trips. So that's a 23% decrease in red zone conversion right there, right? Going from close to 70 to about half of being able to convert a touchdown in the red zone. That's a pretty big jump there. So that could be the cause of their 7 points loss
Right.
of their points
Yeah,
per
especially
game
real
scored
quick.
this season. Yeah.
So I was going to say, if I'm trying to do this quick math in my head, so based on this year's numbers, if they get into the red zone 10 times, 5 out of 10 times, let's just round down. Or we can even, let's round down here. So 5 out of 10 times they come with 7 points. So that's 35. The other 5 they come away with field goals. So that's 50 points in every 10 red zone trips. For the other way, it's 70%. So 7 out of 10 touchdowns, 49 points. So that's about, what am I looking at here? 60, 61, 50 versus 61 points.
Yeah.
11-point difference there
two
between.
touchdown difference there.
Yeah. I mean, in a game that you can see,
crazy.
that's huge.
It's huge. And when you just multiply that by entire season too, those are like game-changing stuff there. So as a Chiefs fan, or if you're watching this as a football fan, you might be saying, okay, what's causing this lack of red zone production? What's going on here? I mean, it could be for many reasons. I'm not going to lie. I didn't break down the X's and O's and look at like the play design and what's going on here. Just looking at strictly numbers here. Just to give you all some like context. One thing I noticed though, Travis Kelce and Jerick McKinnon led the team last year in red zone touchdowns. Kelce scored 9 touchdowns in the red zone, which, by the way, in total, Kelce scored 12 touchdowns last year. So he scored close to 90% of his touchdowns in the red zone. So he was a huge threat down there. And McKinnon scored 8 touchdowns in the red zone. So they definitely schemed him up, do some sort of play design. I think sometimes even did like wildcat with him, I think. You guys could tell me if I'm wrong about that. They really used him a lot in the red zone. This season, okay, Kelce has 5 touchdowns in the red zone, and McKinnon has 4. So that's about half. Half the touchdown production from those two are gone. And Rashee Rice leads the team in red zone touchdowns this season with 6. So it's not like they really, Rice didn't displace a lot of the lack of touchdowns from those two. Like I could see maybe if he had more than double digits, okay, so he's making up like the gap there. But again, they're just not scoring touchdowns in the red zone. And so again, like this could be caused by teams maybe double covering Kelce in the red zone, right? Obviously, most of his touchdowns last season came from the red zone. So if you're a defensive coordinator, you're saying, hey, we're not letting 87 beat us down here. Anyone but number 87 is going to score here. Also, I think Jerick McKinnon also just got injured. He's on the I think he got placed in the IR today or like yesterday. So maybe he was banged up throughout the season. Maybe they didn't use him as much, whatever. So those are, I think, the two.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, and obviously you say break down the X and O's, but I know Kelce's big thing with touchdowns, I do remember the Wildcat stuff, but he's also been really good at finding holes in zone cover. Like that's his Hall of Fame quality specialty. I wonder with Patrick Mahomes running around less than he has previously, it hasn't opened up as many holes in zone coverage for Kelce to sit down. Because I feel like I've seen it a billion times. You see Mahomes, he's like running left, he's running right, or he's running right at the sideline. And all of a sudden he just kind of throws it quickly across his body. And sure as shit, there was Travis Kelce sitting by himself, uncovered. So I wonder how much Patrick Mahomes, he's running around less, has really played a role in that reduction in production. I think
that's a good point. I think there was a soundbite a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was more closer to the beginning of the season, but I think like Kelsey even said that sometimes he just runs like his own route. Like he kind of just like this like
Mhm.
freestyles based off the coverage that's being played, and Mahomes just like him and Kelsey are on the same page and just ends up finding him. So I think so. I think a combination of that and like again like Mahomes not extending the play as much and be able to find open space could be cause of that. And we'll talk more about what I think they should do in the red zone. But with that being said, though, I'll go to my second point here, and this is no secret. I think we said this going into the season, but this point got I think shelved to the side because again they just won a title without Tyreek Hill, and they have Mahomes, they have Andy Reid, and that point I'm trying to make is the lack of production from weapons outside of Kelsey is just not enough. Like I just don't think there's enough talent on that side of the football right now, and that could be a cause of again the lack of production with this offense. Um, for example, last season the Chiefs had 4 players over 500 receiving yards. That was Kelsey, Juju, MVS, and Jerick McKinnon. This season they only have 2. That's Rice and Kelsey. Um, so I think it could be this maybe this buy or there's a factor of like the offense is struggling and maybe Mahomes can't get the ball out. Like does this person as much as he wants to. Maybe he's just cluing in on Kelsey because he's not trusting the other guys. We know Tooney had a lot of struggles this year. I think he didn't even play against the Raiders. I think he was like benched because all the drops he had. It could be just a combo of everything I just said. But I just think there's not enough help on that side. There's not enough talent, which is crazy to say because again they have Mahomes, they have Kelsey, they have Andy Reid, and they just won the title. But I just don't think there's enough right now, enough juice on that side of the ball outside of Kelsey, um, to have another playmaker in times of like, hey, it's third down. It's no third in. It's third and goal. We need a play right now. Who are we gonna go to? There's Kelsey, and then
So
who else is there?
So I kind
Go
of
ahead.
wonder because I'm looking at the players that you have listed here that had over 500 yards last year, and again, I just want to reemphasize it. It's Kelsey, Juju Smith-Schuster, MVS, um, and Jerick McKinnon. What's interesting to me is
Mm-hmm.
3 of those 4 guys are still on the roster. McKinnon's
Right.
obviously now been put on IR, but I kind of wonder. I was just thinking about this as we're kind of talking about it. I do know their offense has been less explosive. Like I know Patrick Mahomes average air yard per attempt is the lowest of his career. They've had less explosive plays and explosive touchdowns over 50 yards or some shit that they've had since Patrick Mahomes has been there. Whatever. They read all the numbers off against the Raiders. I'm not going to go beat a dead horse here. But I wonder how much of these numbers are skewed because if you think about it, there's been about 3, 4, maybe even 5 incidences off the top of my head that I can think of where MVS dropped a deep shot that was
That's
perfectly
true.
placed right in his hands. No one around him. He could have walked it into the end zone. And he just dropped it. I mean, if you not that
Yeah.
you can go back and factor those in because that's not how life freaking works. But I mean, if we're talking about 4 or 5 additional catches versus drops in these situations, are we even talking having the same discussion here? Is this offense as productive as it's been? Is it as explosive as it's been? Does MVS have over the 500 yards that he needs? I don't know if you have MVS's numbers right in front of you, but what are your thoughts on that, real quick?
I think it makes sense. And again, I don't have the numbers pulled up in front of me. I'm pretty sure it's probably maybe close, maybe 300, 400. Um, but yeah, that brings up a good point. Like Travis Kelsey said this on this week's like New Heights pod show, and he basically said like everyone just sucks right now. Like maybe just be a case of like people just aren't playing up to par, right? Like people are
Mhm.
dropping passes, maybe not running the right routes, blah blah blah. Like, but to your point, it's and we kind of said at the beginning of the segment too. They basically have the same offensive roster besides Juju. Juju's gone. So what's really the cause of this? And it could just be this lack of focus. It could be as simple as players is they're just not playing as well as they should be right now. They're not playing up to the Chiefs expectations or the standard. So I think you bring up a really good like point. I do. I do.
Yeah.
And going. Sorry, do you have one more note about that segment?
No, I know. We still have one last thing. I mean, we got to touch about, quickly because we are getting a little bit late in our time here. I mean, Eric Bieniemy's
It is getting
has to
late.
have been a huge loss for them. I mean, what are your quick thoughts on that? How has his loss been affected
Yeah,
the Chiefs?
so I have a note here. It's like it's hard to tie tangible data to him, right? Because and Andy Reid's still there, and obviously like Eric B has been there for many years in offense, hummed, and I mean you can tell. I think you kind of look at the read between the lines, and obviously I think his departure from the team has a bigger impact on this offense than what maybe people expected going into the season. Um, I mean, I don't know. Like again, like I don't have hard data, but I don't think it's kind of hard to find like how impactful is an OC to a team. Besides looking at the numbers of the offense, like oh yeah, maybe you point at that. Every like metric is down. Obviously, maybe he was a big part of it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I definitely think though that's definitely a piece of it. Maybe it was his relationship with like the players, like that aspect to it. Now that piece is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he held people accountable more than the other coaches, which I doubt Andy Reid is not doing. I'm pretty sure he is a really good coach, one of the best coaches. Like I'm
It
sure
could
he
be
is.
offering
Um,
it could be offering
maybe
creative
from like play
ideas.
design. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Play design, giving his 2 cents. Again, I know we're short on time, so I'll get off my high horse on that. And again, this like the last point here. This kind of sum all this up. If you're watching this, still watching it, thank you. If you're watching this, you're most likely a Chiefs fan, and you may be asking yourself, is it time for me to panic? Is it time for me to panic about this Chiefs team? We're not the best of the best right now. We might have to play a real playoff game for the first time in like years. I don't know what's going on. The sky's falling. To those thoughts, I would say no. It's not time to panic. Even though we're not saying the same elite offense as we did for past couple seasons, the offense in general is still good. They're close to top 10 in every metric, if not in the top 10. They still have Mahomes, Kelsey, Reed. Jared McKinnon is on IR right now, but he should be back by the second week of the playoffs. So got this win out here and get to the second week of the playoffs, and he will be back. And to our point about the red zone woes, Chiefs fans might hate me saying this because he is not playing up to your all standard or just a pro level standard. But I think Tony can be that like gadget back roll. While McKinnon, I'll give him the rock. He's coming off a injury. Last week was his first week back. I think it was like a full load for him. And I would just get back to playing sound football. That's pretty much what I would say. Like, win the early downs. Don't commit any penalties the first and second down. Don't take any sacks, right? Don't get in a third and long scenario. Like, this is not the Chiefs of the old where you can rely on Mahomes to make some magic happen and throw it to the hill or Kelsey 30 yards downfield, right? I would just play sound football, win the early downs again, just play smart, and just find something that works in the red zone. I know it's kind of an empty statement. I don't really have a good, I don't know, solution to that. You got to find something that just works. Find your identity down there. If it's using Tony in the Jared McKinnon role, rely on him to find some matchup against a linebacker, whatever.
Perfect. And like we said, if you're a Chiefs fan watching this, please feel free to head down to the comment section. Let us know what you think. What are you seeing? What do you think the Chiefs should be doing different? We always love hearing from you guys. You're some of the smartest people usually we ever talk to. But while you're down there, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We do release episodes and segments every week. But until next time, you guys can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Spotify. Until next time, it's been Emmett. It's been me. Y'all have a good night, okay?